What do you know about Top Gun? No, I'm not talking about Tom Cruise in the big Hollywood film. I'm talking about the real Top Gun guys. Well, today we're going to find out with my good friend, Captain Kevin Smith.
Put on a mask.
Okay, the most important thing I want to talk about is your call sign, Gator 1. How do you get that call? Where does it come from? What does it mean? How'd you get it?
Well, history of call signs, you have to understand, and that was sort of like brought into the public domain by the Top Gun movies. Iceman and the other nicknames, right? The nicknames. It's been around a long time, and I'm speaking from the perspective of naval aviation, right? So, but you know, my Air Force colleagues, great people, really important stuff that they do, but my expertise is naval aviation, carrier aviation, kind of a unique form. Keep in mind that humans were not actually designed to do that.
Fly?
Off of a ship. Fly. And then
off of a
ship. So you get the flight thing, which, you know, Orville and Wilbur helped out with that. Pretty good. If you haven't been to their location in Dayton, Ohio, I would recommend that. Right?
Yeah.
It is a national monument where they did their work. So you can go there and learn a lot about these two brothers who were beyond remarkable in what they could think about and do. So humans were not designed to fly necessarily, but we learned to do that through trial and error. And then humans also, for some reason, decided that they wanted to fly airplanes off of ships. Why do such a thing? And it wasn't a hobby. It was national defense was on the line. And everybody kind of knew that this was now going to be the next big thing. Mm-hmm. And it was, and it still is, by the way. It still is. It's huge. What do we have now? Carrier steaming to the Red Sea. Mm-hmm. Right now, as I speak, we have a carrier task force in the Red Sea. Okay. Is that a big deal? That's like huge. Who else can do that? Nobody. So when we wake up in the morning and we're all comfortable and we looking forward to another beautiful day in this country, who is securing that for us? Military, of course, for sure. All of the services, including the Coast Guard. And at the very top of the list, because we are a maritime power, first and foremost, the United States of America is a maritime power, and all you have to do is look at the map. We are surrounded by oceans and seas, right? So we are a maritime power. And what we bring to the forefront is a carrier task force, the most awesome combat machine ever invented by humans. We used to think about the siege engine in the Roman times. Remember that? They invented that. Well, carrier task force is like the follow-on to that. All right, so carrier task force is insurmountable, and nobody else can do it. Now, why is that? Well, a lot of people will come up with various reasons why we can do that and others can't, in terms of, money, GDP, wealth. None of that stuff is sure, but that's not central to the reason. The reason why we can do that is because we are free to think. And once you are free to think, you are also free to think outside the box. And that, if you look at all of the battles that we fought as a nation, every single one, including the Battle of Midway, how did we win it? We won it because we could think outside the box, and the enemy could not. That's how we won it. So, fast forward to the supersonic era. So I was on the ground floor of the supersonic era, and that's the airplane that I flew. It's the F-8 Crusader, and that's not just a normal curiosity. Little backstory here. I don't mean to be critical of this young pilot, because I admire all pilots and like to help them, but I was talking to this young pilot fairly recently, and this has motivated my desire to write my latest book. And I told him that I flew the world's first supersonic airplane, and he sort of like took that as a minor curiosity. No, it's not. It's a big deal. And that's not the world's first supersonic airplane, but in order to get into that airplane, I had to be trained to fly the world's first supersonic airplane. In other words, trained to fly supersonically. Now, and this is really fascinating, because supersonic flight is just not a number on a gauge. Okay, it's not a speedometer, right? It's sure there is. You can look at it in terms of a number, but that misses the point entirely, completely. High velocity, and the reason I'm saying this, because I actually have a video out now on my YouTube channel, and just parenthetically, if you want to know anything about anything, go to my website, which is the landing page. And the website is called thesonicwarrior.com. One word, thesonicwarrior.com. That's my landing page, and everything is there.
And we'll link all that in the description too.
Yeah,
so we'll
everything is there, and you can go to. And we have a YouTube channel, we have a Substack, we have a radio show and a podcast. Everything is there, so spend a whole day there.
Go there and never leave.
Yeah. I would recommend that. I would recommend going to my landing page instead of watching the news.
Well, heck yeah.
Yeah. It would be more informative.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And more fun.
Right. And keep in mind that most of what you hear on the news is wrong. It's not true. The stuff on thesonicwarrior.com is all true stuff, right? Now, having said that, keep in mind that what I'm doing is I am providing a first-person account. All right? This is not history, and it is not a memoir. Now, having said that, a lot of memoirs out there, great. Go for it, but I don't write memoirs. It's not a memoir. Do I want to write a memoir? No. No, I don't, Andy. I'm sorry, but
I'm sure you could, but
yeah, but I know I don't. I don't. They're between you and me, right? They're way, way, way too boring. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're all about dates and events.
Right.
Oh, come on, people. You know, can we think a little bit differently than just dates or in events, you know? Okay, my position is let's try to do that. Okay, let's go beyond the dates and events. What exactly does this mean? And so I went beyond the dates and events. I found a publisher who would agree to it. Mm-hmm. You know, a great publisher called Redemption Press out of Seattle. And they agreed to it, hands down. They said, yeah, that's great. I said, you realize it's not a memoir. Yeah, we understand that. It's okay, Kevin.
We get it.
We get it, Kevin. Calm down. Calm down, Kevin. And you have to do the same thing, right? So if I get overheated in this discussion,
we reboot you.
Right, we can just say, okay, Kevin, calm down. Everything's fine. So, first person account of what? And we have an example of that would be the Angry Sea event. Okay,
it's
you
a crazy
helped me put
story.
this together. And the Angry Sea event is one example of what I am addressing myself to, which is what was going on during this period that we need to know about. When I say we, I'm talking about the country. What is going on? This was, among other things, this was for America, the early supersonic era was innovation at high tide. That was high American innovation was occurring on a continuous basis because we were doing things that had never been done before, ever. My film, by the way, I do have a film. It's not a documentary.
Obviously.
As you could imagine, it's not a documentary.
It's not.
Right, but it is a film. Starts out by, this has never been done before. Supersonic flight has never been done before. And there was all kinds of innovations. And if you look at that airplane, say, oh, isn't that cute little airplane? How many pilots are in it? and one. How many engines? One. Oh, okay. And then we flew that all over the world. In order to get that airplane up to fighting speed, there had to be probably a minimum of 20 innovations. You're looking at 20 innovations. When we talk about innovations, was this in any textbook? No. Had this ever been done before? No. Where did they get the idea? Good question.
Aliens.
Maybe.
No.
There is Whitcomb is he's passed away now, but Richard Whitcomb, in his obituary, they talked about the man who could see air. The man who could see air, very important. He was one of the top aerodynamic specialists that this country has ever produced. And there was a whole bunch of people that designed that airplane that could see air. They knew it. They just knew. Before wind tunnels and everything else, the Wright brothers could see air also. They could see it. You can't see air. Well, yeah, you can. So with that in mind, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to recognize, highlight, explain the power of the human intellect that came to that was brought to bear that coalesced around this major human initiative, which is supersonic flight. Now, keep in mind that supersonic flight was first achieved by Chuck Yeager in 1947 in a rocket-powered thing. It wasn't really an airplane because it couldn't take off and land. It was dropped from a mothership, and they lit the rocket engine, and it went out. And it got to the speed of sound, which is supersonic. Got to the speed of sound and started tumbling. And he had to eject, and then they tried it again, and they tried it again, and they tried it again. Finally, they succeeded. Right? No one thought that humans could ever go faster than the speed of sound, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, America, United States of America did it. Could any other country do it? No. But we did. All right, so Chuck Yeager, 1947, everybody got this idea, let's make, for lots of reasons, including our enemy at the time, let's make our fighters really fast, because the P-51 in World War II proved itself to be the hands-down winner. That was 100 knots faster than anything else. P-51 is featured in both Top Gun movies, by the way, and that's not just a curiosity, right? It's not. Because the P-51, is this close enough? Am I doing
you're good.
Okay? All right.
You're perfect.
The P-51 was the first airplane to use laminar flow wing, and of course, you know what that means.
Of course.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
I'm a wing expert.
Anybody else know? Annie knows what that means.
You don't have to call me out in front of everyone.
Yeah, no. I knew that you knew what laminar flow meant.
Yeah, but I don't want to embarrass you, so I'll let you explain it.
Okay. All right. I'm sure. I'll be glad to. But you'll check me if...
Yeah, if you get anything wrong, I'll correct you for sure.
You'll correct me right away. All right. So laminar flow wing was first invented by the P-51 design team, North American aviation, brilliant people, hands down brilliant. And they came up with this World War II fighter called the P-51 Mustang, still a famous airplane. People love it. I love it. Do I own one? No, I don't. I should.
You don't keep it in your garage?
Tom Cruise does own a P-50. I'm not kidding. He does own one.
Cool.
And I was going to ask him if I could borrow it, but what do you think he would say? Would he?
I would think he would absolutely say yes.
He would probably say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I would think so.
Yeah, no question.
You know. And so that was like a huge breakthrough. And then we fast forward to this airplane, the F-8 Crusader. The F-8 Crusader was the airplane that I flew. And there was another step in the way, but between that, we had to go subsonic, and then we had to go transonic, and then we had to go pure supersonic. So the F-8 Crusader was pure supersonic, first airplane to achieve 1,000 miles per hour. Okay, big deal. All right, fastest airplane in the world at one time, set the transcontinental speed record of 3 hours and 23 minutes. Average speed of Mach 1.2. Now, Mach means the speed of sound. So when anybody says, what is a Mach number, you know what it is, but explain it to other people. They wouldn't know. But a Mach number, it's just this esoteric stuff that we in aviation have. But a Mach number means that where is that airplane with respect to the speed of sound? We know what the speed of sound is at sea level. Speed of sound is 600 miles per hour. Okay.
So Mach whatever. How does it work?
Mach 1
blah, blah,
is
blah.
600 miles per hour.
Okay, so every time you increase, it's another 600 miles per hour? How does it work?
Well, so everything is referenced against Mach 1.0.
Okay.
So when you say Mach, you really mean Mach 1.0. So everything is referenced from that point. So less than supersonic would be Mach 0.8 or 0.9, 0.95. You're getting pretty close. Mach 1.0 is supersonic. All right. That's also the compressibility. That's very, very advanced aerodynamics. You understand that, but most people wouldn't understand that.
Of course I do.
And then beyond that, it's 1 point something or other. So if you're going faster than the speed of sound, let's say you're going 50% faster, then your speed would be Mach 1.5. Right. So that's how it is used and calculated and employed. We have our airspeed indicator is also segmented into Mach numbers, and we can tell what our speed is. Right. You kind of know that you're going supersonically because the airplane behaves differently. It's a different airplane when it's flying supersonically than subsonic, and that's all part of your training. You have to be trained to be able to deal with that. You also have to be highly intelligent, and that's why I was able to deal with that.
And good looking as well.
Yeah. So normally, if you didn't have that level of high intelligence, right, how could you?
You couldn't.
Yeah, you couldn't.
You couldn't do it.
Couldn't do that. Okay.
Hold on, sidebar. I thought of something when you talked about transatlantic flight. There's this whole movement going around, and I want to get your take on it, that the Earth is flat. What do you say to that?
Bunch of nonsense. No, I've Zoom climbed. Just to let you know, this airplane could do all kinds of amazing things that most airplanes couldn't do. I can also Zoom climb. So, and I did a Zoom climb. This is when I was young and fearless. All right. But I've calmed down since then.
You're still fearless, though.
You think so?
Obviously.
Yeah. Well, I was a young fighter pilot, and I decided I was going to Zoom climb the airplane as high as I can go. Now, back then, we didn't know a lot about high altitude stuff because we didn't have anything to go up there. And this is before satellites, too. But we kind of knew something about it, but not a lot. And they would tell us, oh, you can't go above 50,000 feet in the airplane without a spacesuit on. Okay. Why is that? Well, if you lost pressurization, and likely you would at that, then your blood boils.
That doesn't sound fun.
It's not good. No, it's just not a good thing. No, you don't want your blood to boil, right? Just keep that in mind. So if you go up to high mountain earring stuff, make sure that you don't cross into the blood boiling zone. All right.
That's what happens when you drive in Las Vegas too.
Yeah,
Your blood boils a little bit.
So when I was young and fearless, I decided I was going to Zoom climb the airplane for various reasons. One of them was because I could do it. And so I got out into some kind of a military operating area. Back then, there was not a lot of areas that we couldn't fly in because nobody cared. So I got at high speed, so I got supersonic, and then zoomed up. So I'm at very high speeds here, well above the speed of sound, and then I would zoom up, and the idea would be, it's a fairly simple maneuver. You don't have to do a lot, but you get the airplane going straight up vertically, And when you get up to about 50,000 feet, you have to come back to idle because then the engine would flame out. Right? There's air, right? Mm-hmm. You know, lack of air. You know, mostly there's no air, a little bit. So I got up 50,000 feet, came back to idle, but I'm still moving up, and I got a lot of, you know, kinetic energy going, and I got up to about 55,000 feet. And I looked down, and I thought, engine's still running. That's good.
Engine's running, blood's not boiling. Right on.
And my engine's running. I haven't lost pressurization. My blood's not boiling. So Kevin's good to go. Yeah. So I looked out. So I rolled the airplane over on its belly and belly up. Now it's a fighter pilot move. You know, it just...
That's cool.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Where you probably thought we were showing off when we do that.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. Just a little, not much. I didn't do that very much. So I rolled it over, and I'm looking at the horizon when I did that, and I could see the curvature of the Earth.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. The Earth is not flat.
The Earth is not flat because Kevin
he was up there. He saw it.
Seen it. At 55,000 plus, I've seen, and you can see it. And it is amazing.
Wow.
I mean, I was, holy shit. And they would tell me, the guys in the squadron would say, yeah, you got to do it, Kevin. Why? Well, because you can see the curvature of the Earth. If you get above 50,000, you can see the curvature. So I got up to 55, maybe a little higher. It might have been, 57,000 or something like that. But, by that time, I'm, trying to keep everything together here because it'll go it'll go sideways in a microsecond. So you got to be really careful now.
Yeah.
Because the airplane is very, very touchy, back at those altitudes and that lack of aerodynamic stability. It's not at all stable up there. I mean, it's super unstable. So any tiny little thing that you would do with the controls could put you into a tumble. Don't like to tumble. No, that's not good, Annie. Don't tumble.
Next time I'm flying Mach whatever, I won't tumble.
Don't do that. No, it's not good. It's not good up for anything.
Are you controlling the airplane mostly from a joystick?
Yeah, joystick.
And so you're barely, most of the time when you're going that fast, you're barely doing anything, right?
Yeah, you are just very, very gentle.
Wow.
It's like a high-strung racehorse. You don't manhandle a high-strung racehorse. You got to be gentle with the reins. And same thing here. You got to be very, very gentle. Just a little tiny little bit.
What sort of training are they able to give you when you're like the first guys to do this? Like, are you basically you're pioneering what it can and can't do, right? You're figuring that out for the most part.
Yeah, training program was inverted because we didn't have anything else. So they inverted the training program. And what does that mean? Okay, well, first of all, you have to understand that we are trying to do things that had never been done before, and there's a lot of lessons learned, and a lot of trial and error. Right, almost everything is trial and error. When Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier, it was trial and error. Fortunately, he was able to recover his airplane on the third or fourth try, and the test data that we had at that time showed the reason why the airplane went unstable. And they changed the design of the tail, tailplane. They changed the design of that because they didn't know but they figured it out experimentally, and they changed the design. So the tailplane this has got a supersonic tail. Mm-hmm. Right. It's called a UHT and all kinds of esoteric stuff. Don't worry about that. It's not important. You don't have to remember that. But it's a supersonic tail. But a lot of the pilot training programs were trial and error. It's basically you give the pilot the test before you give them the course, because you don't know what the course is. So we give them the test. I had then the backfill. And so once I got to the point where I was in a position to teach others, and that was a really steep curve for me because of the shortage of pilots and all kinds of things. In my first tour of duty as a fighter pilot in my first squadron, I became an instructor. That's very unusual, but there was no other choice. I mean, it was either that or we would not have enough trained pilots. And then what I was trying to do, and all of us, we tried to do the very best that we could. We backfilled, so we got to the point where we could pass the test, and then we backfilled. We probably ought to be training the pilots in this thing and that thing before we sent them out to do the test. I did the test before the course when I was going through the supersonic pipeline. Now, back then, we had a supersonic pipeline. So the United States Navy and the United States Air Force had a supersonic pipeline. So not all pilots were going to do this, but there was a small group of pilots that we had to put into the single seat supersonic fighters, and we had to prepare them the best we could to go into these high velocity machines. And so I went through a supersonic pipeline flying the world's first supersonic airplane, which happened to be an F-11 Tiger. Soon after that, F-8 Crusader was designed, but before that airplane got off the drawing boards, the world's first supersonic airplane was an F-11 Tiger Navy airplane, as it turns out, because the Navy was a huge effort to get faster airplanes. And why is that? Because Navy didn't do very well in Korea. You know, it did okay with ground attack, but in terms of air combat, no, it didn't do very well. And the Navy knew that they had to get their stuff together. And they tried, and they brought in the best and the brightest, and they were able to do it because they just opened it up and said, here's the money, go out and do it, right? We're not going to tell you how to do it because we don't know how to do it. And we ought to be doing that now. We ought to be saying, okay, we don't know. We get rid of all of the requirements, that you specify at the federal level, and just say, build it, make it go fast, right? And that's what they were doing back then. They said, build it, make it go fast. How fast? Fast as you can go, right? And so I went through the supersonic pipeline flying the F-11 Tiger, and I was doing what we called the live fire training exercises at high altitude supersonic live fire gunnery exercises. Okay, how do you do that? Well, it's a tough thing to do. But I went through the supersonic pipeline learning how to fly this supersonic airplane in live fire gunnery against an airborne target. And I did. I was also a had the Top Gun score. Now, that's where Top Gun comes from, by the way. The term Top Gun was not invented by Tom Cruise and his production crew.
It wasn't?
No, they did not invent Top Gun. Top Gun was a borrowed term that the Navy Fighter Weapons School used. They borrowed it from a previous initiative. And this is all esoteric stuff. I'll tell you what it is, but most people wouldn't know, but you would. It's FAGU. Oh, what's that, Kevin? Okay, FAGU is a Fleet Air Gunnery Unit. So Top Gun borrowed the term Top Gun from the Fleet Air Gunnery Unit, which taught pilots to fly supersonically in a air-to-air live fire exercise. I went through the FAGU, or the Fleet Air Gunnery Unit, or the live fire supersonic curriculum before Top Gun was even thought of. And I achieved the Top Gun score. So I was the Top Gun pioneer.
So basically, it is like it is in the movie. It's a class of guys, and whoever is the best is the Top Gun.
Yeah, that's how it evolved into. I was awarded the Top Gun trophy when I went through the curriculum that included supersonic live fire air combat exercises. And so I was the Top Gun pilot. I was the original Top Gun pilot. Right?
Did you get to keep the trophy?
I'm not sure how they dealt with that. There was some, there was some inside baseball stuff when I achieved that. There was some concerns about whether or not it was actually me. I mean, certainly the way it was done, we didn't have any electronic way to monitor the airplanes back then. So what is the term? Can't remember the words, but anyway, the only way that we were able to determine who was able to achieve a hit on the target was what they would do is they would color the bullets. Mm-hmm. So my bullets were red, okay, and somebody else's bullets were blue, and somebody else's bullets were whatever,
right?
Green or something.
And you said this is hitting like flags that are flying behind.
Yeah, it's a
planes.
banner. It's a banner. It's a big, but it's huge. I mean, it's a huge banner, and it's pulled 20,000 feet behind the airplane, and so it's a big banner. It simulates an airborne target.
And they're like, it's basically like a bullseye type thing.
Yeah. So and it's and you have to roll in my. I have a episode in my book called The Perch, and it explains that the whole thing, right? So, and you read it, and by the way, read it out loud, all right? Because each one of these, they're not chapters or episodes, and they're designed to be their stories. They're a standalone story, right? So there's 12 of them, I think, and read it out loud. Because we've lost the art of storytelling.
You
I want to bring that back.
You did an audio book of it, right?
Yeah.
In your voice, which is cool. I bought that as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear you, in your voice.
Yeah. And we did it at a level 1 studio, which was the best in the country. We did it there. My publisher was very, very adamant about that. Kevin, no, you got to do it at level 1. Because most most people that try to do this, if they don't have the technical background, it's not going to work. Right? Just won't work. So we did a level 1 studio in Carlsbad, California, and I spent 3 days in a sound booth narrating 8 hours a day, for 3 days.
That's pretty cool. It's awesome to listen to.
Right. And you're going to give me a special award for that, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes, I thought you would.
I have this chapstick right here right for there. You.
Yeah. I was hoping more of a trophy kind of a thing, like a Top Gun.
What about this sparkly America cup?
I was thinking more of a Top Gun trophy or something.
All right, well, I'll work on it. Jeez.
Right. Anyway, so I went through and I was a Top Gun pioneer. So Chronicles of a Top Gun Pioneer, the subtitle of my book, and that's where that comes from. And we would give you the test before we gave you the course because we didn't know what the course should be. That's how it worked. Why is that? Well, because we were pushing the boundaries. Humans had never done this before. Right? It was an optimum, but it was the only thing we could do.
Yeah, what's the other way to do it?
We had to do it. We had to get out in front of the pack. And we did with the F-8 Crusader. The F-8 Crusader then propelled the Navy into the modern combat arena, and it was unsurpassed for a long period of time. And then I got involved in air combat because the F-8 Crusader was such a good airplane. Everybody wanted to train against it because it was so good. And on my deployment on the USS Constellation, when we had F-14s, brand new F-14s, and there is an episode in my book that explains this, being the commander of the first deployed Top Gun unit, I was flying the reconnaissance version of the Crusader, which happened to be a little bit faster than the fighter, a little bit more aerodynamically refined, and there was nothing, it carried nothing external. There were no external stores or fuel tanks or anything. And so it was super fast. We could accelerate 50 knots a second, which is astounding. You know, and we blow by everything.
Do they check with you guys in like medically years later to see if these things of what you did impacted your body or your health at all? Or is it just kind of like, well, no, we're just moving on. Next thing.
Not a lot. Mm-hmm. Not a lot. We don't like to do that. I'm not sure why. I was at one point in my flying career, I was doing some what it would typically be called Top Gun work. I was doing adversary work for the brand new F-4 Phantom Cruise, and I was an adversary in an adversary unit. And I was an adversary pilot flying against the F-4 Cruise to bring them up to speed on close-in air combat. So high-velocity close-in air combat was a lost art. If you read the introduction to both Top Gun movies, just read it. Stop, put it on pause and read it. And I would really highly recommend that you read that opening paragraph for both movies. They're almost identical, by the way. And what does it say there? And this is one of the reasons why I have written my book and one of the reasons why I go around the country talking to people. And I do that a lot, which is it says, recover the lost art. Okay, big term there. The most important part of Top Gun is that opening scene. Recover the lost art of air combat. That was my job, is to recover. Okay, so I was the go-to guy, maybe because I was naive. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I was tuned in to everything important in life, maybe. Anyway, so I was the guy that they went to because I could help them recover the lost art. The F-14s now are being deployed aboard the USS Constellation, and this was the first deployment of the F-14s ever in the history of the world. And they were not trained properly. Not at all. Not. Why? Lots of reasons. Who knows, right? Expensive airplane to fly, cost per hour, whatever. The flight crews went to the Air Wing commander and said, we want to have close and air combat training to get up to speed and high velocity close and air combat during the deployment. Never been done before. Fortunately, the Air Wing commander, who happens to have just come off of the Blue Angels, he was the commanding officer of the Blue Angels before he took on the Air Wing commander position for this carrier task force. So he was the Air Wing commander, and he comes to me, and we got along pretty good, you know. We had a lot of inside stuff that we were doing under the radar, but it all worked out. And he would often come up to me and say, Kevin, if we do this, we're going to get in a lot of trouble. and I said, what are they going to do? You know, send us to sea? We're already at sea. And so he came to me and he said, hey, the F-14 crews really want to do this. Can you do it? And I said, yeah, I can do it. Sure. What do you need? Well, I'll give you a list. So I gave him a list. I said, I need some more people. I need some spare engines. Because the engine is like, you know, you keep this engine in afterburner, you're going to burn it up. Can only handle just so much heat, and it just go. Right. Does your engine do that? Just go. Boom.
I have an electric car, so I don't know.
So you don't know.
I don't know.
I'll get a call some midnight from Annie. Hey, Kevin, my engine just went kerplunk. Can you come pick me up? If it goes kerplunk and you're airborne, you're in deep trouble. Yeah. There's only one way to go, and that's through the roof. Literally. You eject through the roof. Anyway, so he says, can you do it? I said, yeah, but I need some stuff. And he said, go for it. You got it. Who's going to say no? And nobody would say no. So I got more engines and spare engines and spare wing panels and the outer wing section of the airplane tends to crack and break on high G's. Can only withstand so much, but that's the wing fold, so you can actually replace the outer wing panel. Just take off, just unscrew some bolts.
Put a new one on.
Bolt a new one on, and we did. We had to do that. We had to put a new wing panel on because we broke one of them, which is not unusual. And so I spare this, spare that, and so we did it. And we provided, and they were dumbfounded that they because what they thought they needed to do didn't work out tactically. So we were able to upgrade their tactical capabilities by orders of magnitude, and they loved it. They absolutely loved it. Right. Of course, at that time, now you can see that, Kevin is now sort of like riding high. And then a good thing because I'm not, certainly they would do this for any pilot, but during the Angry Sea event, where I actually had to land in a hurricane, which is the subject of this.
It's wild.
Of this event here, the Angry Sea event. That actually is true. That's a true event. Now, having said that, Annie, I didn't put this in my book because I didn't think anybody would believe it. And the only reason why we did the event is because Bill Ennis, who is heading up the Veterans Center here in Mesquite, he was there.
Isn't that, no, I don't know if people understand. So we live in a town of what, 22,000 people, possibly?
In the world?
Two guys in the same situation.
In the same event, in the same carrier task force, in the South China Sea, during the same hurricane. I am completely blown away. I said, "You were there?" He said, yeah, I was on the destroyer. Yeah, I remember you flying over the destroyer. Destroyer was the plane guard, and so he was in the area of the landing pattern. And that was his position, by the way. That's his whole reason for being. His whole reason for existence is pick up a pilot from the water if the pilot had to eject. And it was not uncommon.
Really?
Yeah, not uncommon. Right. Not uncommon. That's the most difficult thing you can do with an airplane, is to try to land it on a moving target called an aircraft carrier.
It is a crazy story because you're talking about the boat going up and down so high.
Yeah.
How do you time that?
Yeah,
They're actually, what did you say? Is it who's the guy that, what's the title of the guy that decides when you, like how high the ship's going to go up before they think it's going to go down on a wave or whatever? Yeah,
well, there's a landing signal officer, always there. Had been there since World War II, still there. Landing signal officer is there on the, we call it the platform. He's there on the platform, and he is the final authority of whether or not you should continue your approach or not continue your approach, which means that you have to wave off and you go around and try it again, but you only get a couple of tries. And then if you're out of gas, then who knows? Then things get really, really dicey now. With the Angry Sea event, it was impossible to imagine that you could land a delicate supersonic fighter, and they're light and fairly delicate because they have to be fast and light and whatever. A lot of aluminum and titanium and magnesium. We had parts that were, magnesium is pretty light. Titanium is pretty light. So we had a lot of that, but didn't you can't go crunching it down very much, or it would break apart. If the airplane breaks apart, then of course the fuel spills out because it's mostly fuel tanks, and then it catches on fire, and then they have about 30 seconds to. The firefighting crews have about 30 seconds to recover the pilot. And they're trained to do that. This is really serious stuff. This was really, and this was, if you created a movie, that would be the highest tension movie ever in the history of movies. You could actually do a movie. Maybe I should do a movie about it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, maybe I should do a movie about it because it would be like anyway, so fortunately, I had everybody right there. Probably, I would say, with the highest level of respect, my Air Wing commander made sure that all of the resources necessary to achieve a safe recovery were there, were properly positioned, and the best people that we could find were doing the job that no one else could do. The landing signal officer was the best, undoubtedly the finest and the most experienced landing signal officer in the United States Navy.
Thank God.
Thank God. Right. So, yeah. So I got a pretty good guardian angel. Mm-hmm. You know, he's flight qualified, by the way. I don't know if yours is. Your guardian angel flight doesn't have to be.
I don't know. I haven't asked.
Yeah, mine is flight qualified. For sure. I can guarantee you that. You know, and the list goes on and on and on. And so that's what. Now, okay, so I'm segueing into the whole reason that if you're looking at this thing, and you're going to ask me this, I know, so I'm anticipating you're asking me, Kevin, what is the big picture here and what is the big takeaway of what you're trying to do? The big picture here and the takeaway is that we are now at the tip of the spear, and our job right now in this time and place in the history of this country, in American history, our job right now is deterrence. Okay? Did we deter? Yes, we did. How do you know? Because I know. Okay? I know. I was one of the handful of people that knew that World War III was about to break out in a kinetic war. I was only a handful of people knew that. And I was one of them because of my position in the United States Navy and the government. So I had the highest level clearance that you could have. And I was read in. And they said, okay, so that's as far as I can go with that. But our job was deterrence. So what is it like we're out there? What is it like on an aircraft carrier in the Red Sea right now today? What is it like? Well, you know what? That's the best and the brightest. That's the United States of America is on display, and that's the best and the brightest that we have. And bless their hearts, everyone there is a volunteer. Everyone occupying the flight deck of an aircraft carrier is a volunteer. They are not required to be there. Why is that? It's the most dangerous real estate on planet Earth. I was a volunteer, and I was bringing that airplane aboard, but I had a whole bunch of people working on my behalf, and we made it work. Now, having said that, could we do other similar things in defense? Yeah, if you look at all of the battles that we have won from the Revolutionary War forward, what did that take? It took the best and the brightest, and we were doing things that were considered to be impossible. This is just one example. The Angry Sea event is one example of a whole bunch of examples of what America does when America goes to war. What does it do? It defeats the enemy because we're better. We are the best and the brightest, and we come from the best country that has ever existed on planet Earth. produces the best and the brightest, and we are invincible. Now, having said that, we've got to realize one thing, and this is not arrogance. This is reality. Look at that airplane. Look at the pilots that flew that. We are invincible, which means that if you want to attack the United States of America, you are completely insane, because it ain't going to work. Okay? It ain't going to work. And we go from the Battle of Midway all the way up to the present and say, okay, are you serious?
Well, did you see there was some coverage on the recent thing in Venezuela where our guys went in and I think it was one of the bodyguards that was on the ground there said, don't mess with America. These guys are not messing around. Like, they are the baddest ass people
that's right.
you can find.
That's right. We are the best. The best warriors, the best technicians, the best support people, the best medical system. Our combat medical system is light years ahead of any other medical system ever invented. Our logistics system is light years ahead of anything else. Our AWACS, our airborne early warning systems, are the best that has ever been invented. Our fighters and attack airplanes, our carrier task force. When I was on deployment on the USS Constellation, we came under the direct operational control of the commander of U.S. 7th Fleet. Now, keep in mind, operationally is different than other administrative stuff that deals with the Department of Defense. Operationally, it's a very, very short a line of authority from the operational community to the president, the commander-in-chief. And when I was on the USS Constellation as a member of Carrier Task Force 77, which came under the 7th Fleet, there was only 4 steps to the president. 4? Yeah. 7th Fleet, SINCPAC. Well, it was actually 3. 7th Fleet. Okay, so 4. CTF 77, 7th Fleet, SINCPAC, President. That's the way it went. Okay? And that's the way it is today. Okay? Why? That was invented in World War II, by the way. Right? For the Pacific. That's how the Pacific works. Because if we didn't win the Pacific War, we were going to cease to be a nation. All right? So that was, everything was on the line. Still that way. Still that way. They haven't changed a bit. And so, when I was I was a commander of a forward deployed combat unit, and in terms of now, some people would say that I'm being a little bit egotistical, and I don't really care. Right? I'm just telling you the way it is. In the annals of military science, everyone agrees with what I'm going to say. Everybody that knows anything about military science agrees at what I'm going to say. The most important job in the United States of America, bar none, is to be the commander of a forward deployed combat unit. Because if I fail, the country ceases to exist. Because I must not fail. Okay. So I was the command, and we had 12. We had 12 commanders, squadron commanders, in Carrier Task Force 77. 12. I was one of 12, and we had to be the best. And we did. We prevented the outbreak of World War III. It took a show of force. This was part of it. The Angry Sea event was part of it because our enemies saw that. They're not stupid. Our enemies knew what we were doing. You could operate an aircraft carrier in a hurricane. Unheard of. Unheard of. Can't ever possibly be true. No. You know what that means? It means that nothing shuts us down. Nothing. Day, night, weather, nothing. You better not mess with the 800-pound gorilla because you're not going to win. And we were the 800-pound gorilla in the Pacific. And the Angry Sea event is just one example of that, of what we were doing, what we could do, and what we will continue to do, because we are the best country there is. You know, in conclusion, I am honored and humbled to have done that. It was my honor to serve my country that way. It's a beautiful country, and we did our very best, and I'm so grateful that I was there. I really am. You know, if the good Lord said, Kevin, you have a brand new body, do you want to do it again or do something else? I would say, no, please. I want to do it again. I would not, could not imagine not doing it. Annie, I could not imagine doing that. I would go back there in a heartbeat and do it all over again. It was the most amazing experience you could possibly imagine, and I got to do that. Flying the best airplanes that a country could ever produce, maintained by the best mechanics that existed on this planet, supported by the best support people, commanded by the best military commanders that have ever existed in any military, including the Roman Empire. I could not imagine not doing it again. I would. And so what do I do now? I go around the country and I talk to people. And I remind them of the greatness of this country and what this country has done and what it can continue to do. Now we're back and talking about peace through strength and deterrence, and you better not mess with the 800-pound gorilla because you ain't going to come out on top. I don't care what you're blustering about. You know, it's all bluster. It's all smoke and mirrors. You can't defeat us. Get a clue. It's impossible. If we put our minds to it, we're undefeated. We have the best. I mean, look at, when you go around the world, you know, what do the other countries have? They have token air forces. And that's all there is, you know. They're a bunch of hangar queens. That's all they are. Oh, you have a few hangar queens. Oh, good for you.
Congratulations.
Right. Yeah, when do you fly them? Only when it's really good weather.
Not in hurricanes?
No. No, you don't do that. No. Mm-hmm. In the Top Gun 1 movie, there's a in the Officers Club, there's a place called the Walks Off Bar. Now that's a cute little pilot term, But walks off basically means that the weather is so bad that nobody can fly. All right. And the joke that we have in aviation, military aviation, is we call it even the ducks are walking. The weather is so bad, even the ducks are walking. So that's a walks off bar, right? Except that, when I was coming aboard, everybody was probably metaphorically in the walks off bar looking at the TV cameras, because the TV cameras they're recording my approach, right? They're all approaches, by the way, and they got 2 or 3 TV cameras recording my approach, trying to land in a hurricane, and I did. Now, the last thing is this, or one of the last things that I want to point out. I'm not talking about a personal achievement as much as I'm talking about what we can achieve when you think about facing something as insurmountable as that and not giving up. If that actually did occur, and it did, okay, why? Because no one was willing to give up. If that did occur, then it can occur again. And keep that in mind, that we are probably, every single one of us, is more capable and more powerful than we can imagine. And that, landing in a hurricane, was well beyond what we could imagine, right? Way, way, way beyond that, but we could do it. And so if we can do that, what can we not do? And the answer is, not sure. We probably, can we win the next battle against a top-notch enemy? In my view, yes, we can, right? Because they would not dare. Now, last thing is this, and that was not planned to be it that way, right? the hurricane snuck up on the whole task force, all right? This is before satellites, and as Bill Ennis would say, who was on the destroyer, he said, we knew it was 700 miles in circumference, but we didn't know where it was. But it was huge. It was a megastorm, right? It was humongous. It was a superstorm. And it just erupted, in a matter of hours. It just erupts into this massive hurricane, 700-mile storm front, and it's moving unpredictably, and all of a sudden, holy smokes, it's here. The leading edge is here. So I was landing in the leading edge of that in the sea states, where I sent you a video about opening scenes of what the sea states actually look like. Mm-hmm. Right? And that went over really great too in my presentations, but you may want to tag that onto this thing. But that's what we're talking about. And it was, the deck was, and the movement of a ship in heavy seas is characterized by different terms and stuff, but when it's heaving, that's the ultimate, that's the highest level of movement of a ship in the angry sea, right? The highest level of movement. And so it's heaving. It's not pitching, it's heaving. And so that's what I was faced with. The landing signal officer says to me, when you come aboard, you're talking to him, although pilots don't say a lot of stuff. because we are too busy, right? You kind of have your hands full. But he says I say a couple of things right away, and then he talks to me during the approach, and I knew who it was. It was Mike Wallace, and he and I worked together on a regular basis. He was the Air Wing Ops officer, and he was so calm and cool. I mean, it's just amazing. Just matter of fact. Oh yeah. Oh, the deck's heaving. Looking good. He didn't have to say that, but the deck's heaving. He said, deck is heaving 21 feet, 20-second interval. Looking good. What's that? Oh.
Just another Tuesday.
Oh. All right. Yeah. Can I get a cup of coffee when I land? Oh, okay. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. I'll see you in the mess hall. And then he gave me a check halfway down. You kind of have to do this. He gave me another check. He says, all right, it's coming up now. The deck. So we have to meet it. Your landing has to be timed perfectly. So when the deck is starting to come down, you want to be touching down, right? Because if it's coming up and you're coming down, it's going to break the airplane.
Not good, yeah.
Right, not good. So then he would talk to me and he said, okay, so the deck's out at the top. It's coming down now. Keep it coming, looking good. All right, so I knew he was going to keep me from disaster, basically. I knew he would do that, right? But he was just so calm. I was like, this has got to be the most difficult thing he has ever done as a human being. The most difficult thing he's ever done as a human being is this. That's it. There's nothing going to be harder ever. And he's there, and he's calm and cool and collected, and he's talking normally, and he expects to be successful. Incredible. Where do we find these people? And I'm there. Okay, well, I'm in there too, and I gotta believe I can do it. And I thought to myself, Kevin, this has got to be a really good approach. I mean, kind of like, it's got to be the best you can ever do, right? But it has to be perfect, right? There's no margin for error. I knew that. Okay, no margin for error. You got, maybe a couple of inches. You can't be off center line more than 3 inches. You can't, all right? And fortunately, the ship is not rocking. It would be rocking side to side, but that would be unacceptable. You can't land an airplane at all. That's period. But we were blue water, which means there were no divert fields. That was the other thing. We were the first carrier to do blue water stuff, but basically showing our enemies that you don't want to mess with us because we can go anywhere, anytime. Anywhere on planet Earth at any time, and you cannot defeat us. So that's what we're doing, cranking up our capabilities. So we were blue water, which basically means that there was no divert field, and we had to make it work. In an angry sea, we had to make it work and prove to the world, prove to planet Earth, that there is nothing that will stop a United States carrier task force. Nothing. And we did. We proved that, okay? And then when we go down to the annals of naval history, Okay, you can check that. I'm sure it's there.
Verifiable.
Right? I'm sure it's there somewhere, Annie. When you check the annals of naval history, my name
fun.
will pop right up. Right? for sure.
Yay.
Yeah, it would pop right up and say, yeah, oh yeah. I know Kevin a little. He was there. But I was honored to do that and be there and to be at the tip of the spear and to, ultimately keep this country safe. No, the last thing is this: and this was done so very well by the former commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet. He said, when it's all said and done, what are we actually doing out here on deployment in the Western Pacific? What are we doing? We're out here protecting the American family. That's why we're here. It's the American family that we're protecting, the most important human unit ever to exist is the American family. And we honor that, and we're humbled because we have that duty, and we will do that to the best of our ability. We will protect the American family because they deserve our protection. Okay.
That's true. Well, I surely appreciate and love you dearly. You're an amazing person. I'm so happy and proud to call you my friend, and a little bit ashamed to say that I knew you for a long time before I really knew any of this about you. And I'm glad that you wrote your book and that I've gotten to know. I mean, our town's full of people that I think have done amazing things that a lot of people don't really know. I mean, we just see them out on the golf course or pickleball court or whatever, the Republican Women's Club meeting, wherever we see them. They're exceptional people in this town. You're one of them. And I'm so proud to call you my friend and happy to help you however I can. And I would just encourage everybody that's watched to go to Kevin's website, thesonicwarrior.com.
Yep.
We'll share all that information in the description. Buy his book, buy his audio book. Come do this event. He said they're going to do an encore of it. It was January 10th, but we're going to do an encore in May. And it is an amazing story. You've only heard a little bit of it here today. The swells in the ocean, he's going to show you videos of that, and we can share that link to that as well, because what he was able to accomplish with the help of the other people on that carrier it's not an exaggeration to say it was absolutely amazing. So you definitely need to hear it firsthand from start to finish from Kevin, and check out all of the good stuff he's doing, because there's no shortage of content that he's putting out there for you to show the American exceptionalism that he's been part of and that he's trying to, I think, make sure it carries on. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have many more people, good friends just like Kevin on. We hope that you'll tune in and check it out. See you next time.